everybody, it is Melanie Mitro and Katie Ersta, and we are the hosts of the Make Chic Happen podcast.
And this podcast is for you, friend. We're going to dive into the skills, mindset, and systems you need to build a successful social media presence, and it supports your business goals.
All right, and I am Melanie Mitro, one of the co-hosts, and I have left my full-time career in early intervention to be a stay-at-home mom, and I'm seriously craving something more.
All right, and I'm Katie. I am a stage 4 cancer survivor. I absolutely love all things storytelling, and I was a teacher who truly just wanted to get the groceries paid for. Never in a million years did I see what would happen with this business.
Oh my gosh, and here we are, 10 years later, and we have built multi-million-dollar businesses from our laptop, from our kitchen tables, basically anywhere that you have Wi-Fi. And the cool part is now we get to teach other people how to do the same.
So just 2 female entrepreneurs who are wives, moms, and we're also besties who want to take you on the journey right alongside us to help you build a business that you love and a life that you desire.
All right, so come on in, check out today's episode. Well, hey everybody, it is Melanie and Katie of the Make Chic Happen podcast, and we're back for another exciting episode. And today we're talking about something, it's kind of a hot topic lately. Yeah. It has definitely been just social media growth. I've been hearing so many people lately that are like, gosh, I feel like my following isn't growing. I feel like my engagement isn't growing. I feel like I'm not finding my ideal person. And people kind of feel like, oh, is social media changing? Is it harder to now grow? And so we're gonna talk about that today, and we're gonna talk about auditing your social media. But I guess my first question, for you, Katie, because one of the services that we offer here at Chic is it's called the Chic Branding Experience, and this is really your baby. You developed it, you created it, and so we're going to kind of talk a little bit about the branding experience. But first of all, if somebody's listening and they hear the word audit, why would somebody want to actually audit their account, right?
So first, when we talk about audits, we're not talking about finances at all. Because I think sometimes people immediately go to what is an actual audit. But an audit is an overview of everything that is happening on your social media account. And this is specifically for people who are in marketing, who are in sales in some way. But the reason that you want to consider auditing your own account is to give yourself a full scope as to what's happening from a more outside perspective. Now, in the Chic Branding Experience, that is a different level. That is very much talking about your unique sharing proposition. It's helping you identify your brand pillars or your brand, your thumbprints. It's helping you really clarify your messaging from an outside perspective. We kind of come in and go, here are the things that we see. Here are the things you can implement. But when you're auditing your own account, you might be doing it because you're wondering, why isn't my account growing? Why am I not seeing more people come into my account? Or you might be seeing growth, but it's not transitioning to sales, which is very, very common as well. Because we've worked with people through the Chic Branding Experience where they're seeing a lot of people come in and they're doing these great reels and they're trending and they are showing up in the Explore, but they're like, I'm not actually seeing an increase in sales.
Interesting.
So the first one would really be because you are trying to figure out and get a full perspective, a full scope of why is my account either growing or not growing? Am I converting people into consumers of my product? And then the other reason is when you sometimes just don't have a clear and crisp message for your audience. And sometimes that happens, and I'm going to be specific. When we work with people in direct sales, a lot of times they're given advice by an upline or a mentor, or they're watching what other people are doing on social media. And they're like, I might try a little bit of this, and they stir it into the pot, and then they add a little bit more spice, and then they think that will mix. But then when you get to it, it tastes terrible. It just isn't working cohesively together. And so auditing creates cohesion. And there are some things that you can do for yourself when it comes to auditing that aren't so much from the outside perspective, but really good for you to ask yourself.
So let's dive into this whole self-auditing experience, because maybe you're listening right now and you're like, yep, I have these ingredients, but I can clearly tell none of them go together, right? Or maybe you do have followers, but it's not actually converting. Maybe you're feeling like your content just isn't engaging. So the first thing is really cultivating a connection, right? That's like the first question that we would ask. You want to kind of dive into that. Okay.
Absolutely. So the first thing that you want to ask yourself is, am I cultivating a community? Am I creating a connection between myself and who I best serve? And in order to do this, you really need to kind of take a full scope out and ask yourself, do people know how I serve? Okay. And a lot of times people go, okay, I know I need to share consistently. I know I need to share content and I need to write about my products and my services. But then you also need to ask yourself, what do I do differently that gives people a reason to come back? Okay. And it may or may not relate to exactly what you sell. So for example, if one of my thumbprints, one of the things that I share consistently is maybe marriage tips, marriage advice, funny marriage reels. If I give people that message consistently, there's a higher likelihood that they're going to come back. Yeah. But I want to remind you that it has to be also that they feel connected to you. Okay. They feel as though they are seen and they are heard. Okay. So when you are seen and heard, it means that you increase the likelihood of people commenting. Okay. When you create calls to action, in some way it could be that they're dropping a comment. They want to engage with you. Okay. They're likely to engage with your polls if you leave them on your stories. Yeah. But they realize that you're showing them something that adds value to them. The biggest misconception a lot of people have as brand owners is that your story is about you. But it's really not. Your story is about how you serve other people. And so you can even take a closer look. What I would encourage you to do today is actually take a look at your bio to start and ask yourself, do I just show who I am in my bio, or do I show people how I can serve them? Yeah. When I look at my bio, do I direct people to learn more about me or about the services that I offer through a link in my bio? And you can do this very easily through Linktree, through Milkshake, but you have to give reason for people to opt in. Okay. You will increase the likelihood of people opting in when they feel connected to you. So that's really number one. Okay. All right. So, and I kind of want to take just one more second to take like a deeper dive, because I think sometimes people go, but does that mean I'm still sharing stories about myself? Like, am I talking about, for example, marriage and how Matt didn't support me, in my business? Like, am I telling that story, or am I just sharing memes that are about spouse support in the business, right? What does that look like, you know? Well, I love that question. And I know that we have had a couple other episodes where we really dive into the purpose for writing content. Yeah. But just in a nutshell, when it comes to that story about Matt not supporting you in the business, when you wrote that content, in the back of your mind, what were you thinking to yourself? I want this piece of content to do. Yeah. I mean, I wanted it, number one, to connect with people that might have a spouse that also wasn't very supportive. Like, I wanted them to understand you're not alone in the fact that you also don't have a spouse that doesn't support you. But I don't want you to think that you have to stay there. Like, that's the reason why you don't pursue your business. Yeah. So I want to almost say, like, hey, I see you. I know what you're going through. And then I like to give advice. So I am then like, and this is how I navigated through it, in hopes that it like gives somebody else hope and inspiration, and also a little bit of here's how you navigate that too. I love it. And the reason I kind of put you on the spot to ask you that question is because Melanie addressed a really, really relevant point, is that she has relevant content for her audience, which kind of brings me to the second point that I was going to address anyway. And that's the question of, do I create relevant content for my audience? And we do this by having a specific purpose. Okay. A lot of times when I see brand owners show up, they're just throwing out their product or they're putting up their service, but they're not really adding value. So you really want to say to yourself, before you do anything when you're posting on social media, you have to ask yourself, like, what is the purpose of this piece of content? Okay. Is the purpose to persuade persuade? Is it to get them to see the value of what I'm offering and then eventually get them to go click a link in my bio or just shop the image?
Yeah.
What is my purpose? So persuade.
Okay.
The second is to inform, which is just teaching people, educating people on not just what you offer, but your own expertise in whatever area people might come in for. So for you, when you were doing those posts, you weren't necessarily saying to people, join my team. What you were doing was you were informing people that if you have an unsupportive spouse, there are things that you can do to get your husband to be more supportive.
Right.
And so there was an educational piece to that as well.
Yeah.
And as a brand owner, you are an expert. And I know that word intimidates a lot of people, but an expert is one step ahead.
Right.
So for you, even while you're maybe in the thick of not having an unsupportive spouse, you could still write about the things that you're doing or things that you've overcome, but in a way that shares with your audience and adds value to them. So it's not just like, I had an unsupportive husband, now I don't, and he's great, and we're doing really well, and we love our life, and it's awesome. That's not the point. The point is to walk people through the process so that they can see that as well.
Right.
The third piece of content when it comes to purpose is entertaining. And reels are great for this. But entertaining, it really goes back to cultivating that connection. When people feel entertained and not pushed by you, a lot of times they come back to see what you have to offer. So if marriage was something that Melanie talked about consistently, and you just did a fantastic reel on this where you talked about like the things that go on in your husband's brain, and she had all these different words up, and I was like, it's so simple. Men are so simple. But it was a great way for you to cultivate a connection with people. But it also was relevant because the people who likely engage with you are people who sometimes like struggle maybe in their marriage or to get their spouse to be supportive.
Right.
And then the last one is one where people see you as the brand owner. And this tends to be the hardest one for people to do because we have to get vulnerable, and that is sharing our thoughts and feelings. And so relevant content is really a really great way for us to say, do I have a purpose for the content that I'm creating? And then the only other thing I would advise when it comes to relevant content, if you're like, I don't know what my audience engages with, I don't know what they want to see, go use your insights. You know, when we created the Make Chic Happen Planner, a big part of the Make Chic Happen Planner was the insights and how to use them and how to see what's going well and how you can actually look at, oh, this was a relevant piece of content because I gave advice. Oh, this was a relevant piece of content because it was entertaining and it really talked about like the simplicity of a man's brain. And I'm sorry to any men who are out there who go, we're not simple, right? And so I just want to remind you that when it comes to relevant content, you have to think about how you serve people.
You do. Yes. So insights are great. They really do teach you what content people are interacting with as well.
Sure.
So when it comes to auditing your own account, you're also looking at another area. And I don't think we talked about consistency, did we?
We didn't.
Okay.
But I feel like I feel like you're like queen of consistency. So this is definitely something I feel like you can touch on. But when it comes to consistency, as the business owner, you are the person that needs to set the standard of what consistent is going to look like. There isn't a one size fits all to how you approach your media marketing. So if you can show up every single day consistently in your stories, and you can do about 10 posts within your story set, and maybe you can do 2 posts a day, and that is your consistency. That's what your audience starts to understand as consistency. But if it's not something that you can do because maybe you work full time or maybe you're just building your business in a couple of hours a day, your business might look differently. So can you give a couple of tips for consistency when it comes to social media?
So consistency, I mean, you said it great. It's definitely what works best for you. So it is, what can you commit to? If you are the kind of person that says, I want to commit to 2 posts a day, I want to commit to it, I feel like I can do it, then go for it, right? If you have enough relevant content for your audience, that's really key. It's not about just saying, okay, I'm going to commit to twice a day, but it's going to be a random meme and a random post that doesn't go back to what is the purpose of my content.
Right.
If you say to yourself, I'm a business owner who can only commit to once a day, and I really want to take the weekends off, then you're a Monday through Friday, and you can establish your brand being a business that posts Monday through Friday, and I spend time with my family on the weekends, and my office, my business is closed, right? So consistency really looks like what works for you.
Right.
Also, when you look at consistency, even in your stories, because we talk a lot about Facebook and Instagram stories, it might even be that you do work full time. So during the day, people just know you're at work.
Absolutely.
But then they see the before, they see the after, they might see a little bit of what goes on in the evenings, because that's when you're around and you're building your business.
Yep.
So it's not what everybody else defines as consistency. It is what you define it. And it needs to be something you feel is doable, that you can stick to, where you feel like you're adding value and you're not like just sort of pulling from thin air to kind of figure it out. Right.
And even coming down from the 2-hour workday challenge, this was a big part about what we talked about.
Yes.
And that also brings us to, we didn't just talk about consistency in that free challenge. We actually talked about the fourth point.
Yeah.
And that question is, am I confident about what I have to offer? And man, we could probably do an entire podcast episode, not just on how to gain confidence, but some gut check questions to ask yourself when it comes to confidence. Here's the thing, when it comes to what you're endorsing, whether you are with a direct sales company, you own an Etsy shop, you have your own, t-shirt business, whatever you might do, you have to believe that the experience that you offer your customers is unique, and it's different in a way that stands out from the competition. So if you are in the direct sales space, you want to ask yourself and actually do an audit of the way that you are working with your clients. There is this great brand that we both follow, Spicy Boutique.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's Spicy Boutique.
Spicy Chic.
Spicy Chic, yes. And they do a great job. They create reels. They actually have a really great customer service. They have certain policies that are incredible for their ideal client. And I watch them on media and I go, they have a really great way of sharing confidently what they have to offer. So if you feel like you aren't confident about the products and the services that you have to offer, step one of any audit is going back and saying, why am I doing this? Yes. What do I believe about the products that I have to offer? Why do they matter to me? In what way have they impacted me? And how can I really serve people differently than what other people are doing? And we do this a lot through the Chic Branding Experiences. We give people ideas for how to be unique in their space, no matter what their business is.
And you can't be afraid to say, I sell something.
Yeah.
I sell a product. I serve I give an experience. You have to be willing to say, okay, I can't just add value all the time and expect that people are going to know that my doors are open for business.
Right.
A huge part of what we teach is, hey, there has to be a balance. There's a balance of I'm serving, I'm giving value, right? I'm improving your life in some way. But then I'm also saying, hey, if you like the value I give, if you trust me, if you've been around for a little while and you want to work together, here's my course, here's my product, here's my service that can help you to get from where you are to where you want to go. And a lot of times people, they are afraid. They are genuinely afraid to ask.
So much fear.
And it's really, I mean, it might be a fear of you don't necessarily believe in what you do, but it could be the fear of I might get rejected. Right. I might invite somebody and they think I'm just trying to reach out to sell them something. And at the end of the day, I mean, if you're a business owner, you are using social media to sell your product.
Yeah.
Sure, you genuinely want to help other people, but you're marketing. Just as if you were putting an ad in a newspaper or running an ad on the radio or on TV, right? It is the same exact concept. So you can't be afraid to ask people for the actual purchase.
Yeah. So in summary, I'm going to give you these 4 questions that I want you to ask yourself when it comes to auditing your own account. Number 1, do I cultivate a community online? Number 2, do I show up consistently as defined by me? Number 3, do I have relevant content for my audience and I write that content with purpose in mind? And then the last one, number 4, is am I confident with what I have to offer? And so we are so grateful that you joined us this week for this episode of the Make Chic Happen podcast. And as always, if you loved this episode, drop a review on iTunes. Let us know what you think. And you can always hang out with us on Instagram. Let us know what kind of episodes you want to see from us. We love hearing how you are making chic happen. We'll see you next week.
All right. So we actually ended this episode and then I was like, wait a second. I was like, you did such a good job at talking about the branding experiences, but I think that people, like, they genuinely want to know, okay, if I am listening to this and I'm saying to myself, I really need to audit my account, but I really need a deeper dive. I really want somebody to actually guide me through the process and help me audit, tell me what I should post, help me figure out my thumbprints, my marketing message. That is a service that we offer, and I want people to know what it is and how they can take advantage of it. So will you tell them a little bit about the branding experience?
I can.
Okay,
good. And I actually, it's so funny that it's crazy to think that this was actually just an idea that I had back in January. I remember we were sitting at a friend's house in Florida and we were kind of chatting through what this would look like. But one thing that I'm really, really passionate about is helping business owners find their story and make their story relevant to other people. And there's this misconception when we're posting on social media that we have to share our story and we have to air our dirty laundry and to give all the ins and outs, but it really isn't like that. You want to share a story that's relevant to your audience, that's purposeful, and it does make you stand out and it makes you unique in the space. So where a lot of other business owners train on how to grow your audience and how to captivate your audience and how to get more likes on reels and engagement, I look at it as sometimes what's happening beyond the surface and what people are just connecting with is what they carry, and what they carry converts. So when it comes to the Chic Branding Experience, I wanted to create an experience for business owners where they can go, okay, Katy, this is all of the things that are in my brain. And it's jumbled, right? And they're putting a little bit of this and this and that on social media. And then they're like, I need someone to put it into a pretty bow and wrap it up and say, this is how you present it to your audience. And so the Chic Branding Experience is a couple different phases. So the first phase is a very comprehensive intake where you give me the ins and outs of what's happening on your media right now.
Got it.
The second phase is a discovery call that you have with myself. And although I have some guided questions, I speak specifically to where you are in your business. So I am really into asking you some deeper level questions that you might not even realize that you're actually holding back on. And I want to draw those out. So it's a really awesome experience. Every single one of them have left me feeling like, wow, that is powerful. Let's get this story out. The third phase is when I work with a social media specialist. We take everything that happened within that discovery call. We've been taking copious notes. We've been really working behind the scenes. And we say, what's the brand? And we create over an entire week a comprehensive PDF. It's usually about 20 pages long, where we go over everything from content ideas to your thumbprints to your staple story to your unique sharing proposition. Oh my gosh, to font, to anything and everything, brand colors that really help you stand out on an otherwise very noisy platform. And then the best part, which is pretty incredible, is we close it out with a discovery call with our social media specialist who's assigned to you. And then you have about a month to actually at any point ask them for advice, tips, and strategies as you begin to implement.
I love it.
The unique, the Chic Branding Experience. And it's incredible.
It is. And it is exactly what you have been asking for. And our clients that have gone through the branding experience have given such great feedback and so powerful in the ways that it has transformed their business. So if you sort of feel like you're floating around right now and you're just not very clear on your brand, your messaging, your staple story, who you serve, this is a good way for you to get just some one-on-one instruction, some guidance, and clearly 20 plus pages of content to actually implement and put into action. So,
and I do want to clarify too that it is very customized and it's personal. So there is a limit to the number that we do every single month. So if you want to learn more, we've left the link in the show notes. And then what we'll do is we will schedule your Chic Branding Experience for you. And
and we'll get on Zoom and make it happen.
We will. We're excited.
All right. Okay. now we can end the episode. Thanks for hanging with us today, guys.
Bye.
All right, so if you loved today's episode, make sure you head over to wherever you listened to the episode today and leave us a rating and review. And also, take a little screenshot and tag us on Chic Influencer. We'll feature you in our stories. Plus, we'd love to get your feedback and hear from our listeners.
Until next week, let's make Chic happen.